Hi everyone, this is Ravi. Welcome to Katalon Studio Automation tutorial. As you all know, I've already published 45 YouTube videos covering beginners level, intermediate level, and advanced level concepts of test automation by using Katalon Studio. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon, you'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Thank you. Don't forget to like and share the video. This is our lesson 46 where I'm going to talk about how can we integrate our Katalon Studio test scripts with Azure pipelines. Basically, we are going to achieve CI/CD integration by using Azure pipelines and the Katalon Studio. So, if you refer my previous playlist, I've already published 4 different YouTube videos covering the concepts of CI/CD integration. The part 1 is I've showed you how can we run our Katalon Studio test scripts by using command line execution with the help of runtime engine. And also as part of part 2 session, I've showed you how can we push our automation scripts to the GitHub. And then I have also covered as part of part 3 how can we run our Katalon Studio automation scripts with test ops. And then in part 4 I have shown you how can you schedule the test runs on test ops with test cloud environment. I would recommend you guys to go through these 4 parts before you watch this session so that it makes sense, that you can easily understand how can we integrate our Katalon automation scripts to the Azure pipelines, and then how can we run our automation scripts from anywhere by using Azure pipelines. Now let us see our first agenda item. Our first agenda item is explanation of the process flow for Katalon Studio CI/CD integration with Azure pipeline. If you see the diagram, left side you have a Katalon Studio tool. We'll be using the Katalon Studio tool to automate our test cases, which will generate our automation scripts. And we are going to push all these automation scripts into Azure repository. It is same as GitHub. Once we push all the automation test scripts of our Katalon Studio into Azure repos, then I'm going to build the Azure pipeline. So Azure repos and Azure pipelines are part of Azure DevOps. And then after creating Azure pipeline, we need to create a self-hosted agent, or we need to install a self-hosted agent under agent pool in Azure DevOps. So once we create a self-hosted agent, then we can run all our automation scripts from Azure pipelines. So now let us go to the next slide and see step by step how can we integrate our Katalon Studio automation scripts with Azure pipelines. The first step is you need to create a project in Azure DevOps. So let us go to Azure DevOps. This is my Azure DevOps instance. We will be creating a new project. You can see these are all the different projects that I already have. I'm going to create a new project for this session. Click on new project and name this project as Katalon demo, and then click on create. So basically if you want to select visibility as public, you can select. For now I'm going to select as private and then click on create. And then go and navigate to empty repository to see HTTPS URL that we can use in Katalon Studio. So now let us go to repositories. So click on this repos. So now you can see this repo is empty. Katalon demo repo is empty. And we are going to use this HTTPS URL to clone this repository to your computer. Okay. So for that, I'm going to just keep this, I'm going to copy this URL and keep it ready. Okay. And then go to Katalon Studio and create a new project. Now, as we have created a new project in Azure DevOps, we also need to create a new project in Katalon Studio. Go to Katalon Studio. This is my Katalon Studio. I'm going to select file and then select new and click on project. Here, I'm going to name this project as Katalon Demo. And I'm going to select type as web. And I'm going to select a blank project. Okay. Click on OK. So this will create an empty project. You can see all the folders, test cases, object repository, data files, checkpoints, everything is empty. Once that is done, what is our next step? Now you need to integrate Katalon project with Azure DevOps Repos by using clone project. Let's go to Katalon Studio. Now I would like to clone this empty project to my Azure repos. How can I do that? So for that, you need to select Git and then select clone project. Here you need to provide the empty repository URL from Azure DevOps. Let's go to Azure DevOps. So you can see here, as I told you earlier, to clone the project to your computer, you can use this URL. Copy this URL and then paste it here. And then what is the password? Here I need to use personal access token. So I need to provide the personal access token. How can we generate the personal access token? Let's go back here now. So you can see here, note, create personal access token in Azure DevOps for Katalon, which can be used in Katalon Studio to clone the project. So to clone the project, you need a personal access token. For that, let's go to Azure DevOps and go to your profile. And here, click on this more options and navigate to user settings. So here you can see personal access token. Select this personal access tokens and here you can create a new personal access token. How? Select new token and name this as, I'm going to name this as Katalon token and I'm going to give full access and then click on create. As soon as you click on create, it's going to create your personal access token for Katalon. So here, this is your personal access token. So copy this one. You need to copy this and paste it into a notepad. So keep this here. Okay, now you can see this is your Katalon token personal access token, right? So which is full access. So now let us again navigate back to Katalon Studio and provide this copied personal access token or provide the generated personal access token as a password and then click on next. As soon as you click on next, so it says your source git repository is empty. Yes, we know the source git repository is empty. So I can see here, let's go back to our git repository again. So this git repository is empty, that we know, that is the warning it is giving, right? And then click on next and then click on finish. So now we have created a clone. So then what we need to do, let's go back to presentation. Now we have cloned an empty project to Azure repos. If you go back to Azure repos, still this repos is empty because we actually cloned an empty project. That's why you don't see any files. So now we need to create an automation script and test suite using Katalon Studio. Let us automate a simple test case in Katalon Studio. So for that, I'm going to use record web option and I'm going to use the Cura healthcare application. I'm gonna use the Cura Healthcare application, which is a demo application provided by Katalon. And then I'm going to select Chrome and click on record. So here I'm going to click on make appointment and then provide your username, John Doe, and provide the password. And click on login. So if you see here, if you expand this section, whatever the actions that I am performing, it is recording. And once you click on login, now I would like to validate this make appointment title, right click, and then verify element present, and then log out from the application and stop your recording. So now let us save these. Now let us save the script. Save script, and here I'm going to create a new folder called Katalon demo, so that I would like to store all the objects into this particular folder. Click OK. And now it is asking me to provide the test case name. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say Cura login test. Click OK. So now you can see here all the actions that we recorded can see here. This is your login test case. You can see this is your Cura Healthcare login test case. Now I would like to parameterize this test case. Basically, I would like to execute this test case with different username and password data sets. How can I do that? So for that, here instead of providing the hard-coded values, username and password, I would like to use the variables. Let's go to variables tab, click on add and specify this as username and add another variable called password. Now let's go back to again script. Here instead of John Doe, double click on this input column. Now change your variable type as variable, and now you can see here under value you should see the variables that we created just now. This is my username, and here for password I would like to change this as set text instead of set encrypted text. Okay, and here I would like to double click on this again. Here instead of string I would like to select as variable. And what is the variable that we created for password? This is the variable. Click on OK. Now save the script. Now I would like to parameterize these variables by using an Excel sheet. Let us go to our local folder. So you can see here I have created one Excel sheet called login data. So if I open this Excel sheet, I can see here I have provided username John Doe and second username I'm going to say Tim Martin, and this is my password and this is my second password, right? So passwords I have provided twice and usernames I have provided twice. So save this and close it. So which means I have a login test data available in Excel sheet. So let's go back to our Katalon Studio. So now let us create one test suite. So right click here, new test suite. I'm going to say this as smoke test. Click OK. Now I would like to add the test case that we automated earlier to this suite. Add, select the test case that we just now automated. Click on OK. And now we have to go to show data binding. What I'm doing here now, I'm going to bind the test data that we created here. So before I bind any test data, first I need to upload the data file into this folder. For that, right click, new, test data. I'm going to name this as login test data. And what is the type? Type is Excel file. Click OK. And here I would like to browse the file here and go to the location where I've stored the Excel sheet. And then select the Excel login test data. Click on open. And here I would like to use the relative path instead of full path. I'm going to use the relative path and then use first row as header. First row is header, second row is your first test data set, and third row is your second test data set. Correct? So now let's save this. So now let us go back to our smoke suite that we created. And here under test data, you can see which is empty. And under variable binding, what are you seeing? Whatever the variables that we created for this test case, I can see them here under variable binding. Now, these variables are empty now. What are the values that I need to pass for these variables? I need to pass the values that are stored under Excel sheet. So that's why the test data is coming from here, right? Let us add the Excel sheet, or let us add the data file that we uploaded here. Here, click on add. Now, what is the data file we added? Login test data. This is our data file we uploaded earlier. Select that, click on OK. Now, you can see the magic here. You can either map all the values to this Excel sheet manually, or you can use automatically choose suitable columns for all variables. So what it is going to do, from this Excel sheet, it is going to automatically map all the values to the corresponding variables, because the column names in Excel sheet is same as the variables that we defined. That's why as soon as you select map all, it is able to find two matches. Click on OK. So now you can see here your username is coming from where? Username is coming from the data column of your login test data by using the value username column, and this is from password column. So that means our data binding is completed. Now let us run this particular test case and see if it works correctly. For that, go to run, select Chrome. First, it should execute with the first data set. So that is valid username and password. Now second, it should take an invalid username password. So you can see Tim Martin, which is invalid. That's why you are getting login failed. That means your second test case is gonna fail. So your second test case is failed and your first test case is passed. That means whatever the test case that we automated and we parameterized is working correctly. So now let us go to presentation. So we have completed creating an automation script and test suite using Katalon Studio. Now you need to push the automation script to Azure DevOps repository. Let us go to Katalon Studio. As I told you earlier, our Azure repository is empty. Now we have created a project and we have automated the test cases, right? Now I would like to push this particular automation script to Azure DevOps. For that, again go to Git. This time select commit. As soon as you select commit, it's going to identify all the changes that we have made for the project. So these are all the unstaged changes. Select all and then drag and drop onto staged changes. And then provide the comment saying Katalon script pushing to Azure DevOps version 1 as we are pushing for the first time. And now you can select commit and push. As soon as you select commit and push, it is asking me to enter the personal access token one more time. So you can just copy and paste the personal access token that we have saved earlier. Login. And now you can see pushed to Katalon demo. So let's close this. Now let us navigate to Azure DevOps repository and refresh the page. Now you should see entire Katalon scripts and Katalon folder structure, this entire folder structure in your Azure repos. So you can see here your data files, your scripts, test cases, test suites. This is the test suite that we created, right? And then you have a test case, which is Cura login test and everything. So now your script is pushed to Azure DevOps. So let us go to presentation. So once that is done, verify and see if Azure DevOps repos are reflecting the latest Katalon automation scripts. Yes, we already saw that. Now we need to create a pipeline in Azure DevOps. So how can we create pipeline in Azure DevOps? Let's go to Azure DevOps. So this is my Azure DevOps. Currently we are in repos. Now you need to navigate to pipelines. Click on these pipelines. And here you can see your pipeline folder is empty. So we are going to create our first pipeline. Create pipeline. And then what is our source code? Our source code is under Azure Repos Git because we pushed the code to Azure Repos. Select this. And now we already created a project Katalon demo and then we push the code to the same project. That's why it is showing you the same name Katalon demo. Select that repository. And now here either you can select starter pipeline or you can select existing Azure pipelines YAML file. But here I'm going to select starter pipeline. And here it will create an empty YAML file for this particular pipeline. So here you can see we are triggering the pipeline by using the master branch and what is your pool or your agent and then what is your script, right? But this is your default YAML file. But to run Katalon Studio scripts, we need to have our own YAML file. Let me go back to YAML file here. So here this is my YAML file. What I'm doing here, so there is no big difference. See, simple. So let me show you what I changed. Okay. What I'm doing, I'm triggering the pipeline by using the master repository. So basically we push the code to the repos to the master branch. And then what is my pool? What do you mean by pool? Pool means let us go to project settings. And here you have a agent pools where we will be creating the agents. So I'm going to use the default agent pool. That's why I'm naming this as default. And then what is my agent name? Agent dot name equals to Katalon agent. But I have not created this agent yet. Okay. And then what is the steps that I need to follow? I need to follow the script. So what is the script? The script comes from Katalon Studio. How can we generate the script? Let me show you now. Okay. Let's go to Katalon Studio. And here, if you select build CMD, select this build CMD, and then select the test suite that you would like to build a CMD. What is the test suite that we created? Smoke test, right? Select this. Now you can generate the command. Generate the command. So this is the command that I copied and I pasted here. So this is this entire command that I copied and pasted here. You can see here now. The only change what I made is, instead of Katalon C, I'm using Katalon c.exe path from Katalon runtime engine. What is this runtime engine? I'm going to explain you later. Okay. And then what I'm doing, I'm keeping everything as it is. The only change I made is, instead of Katalon C, I'm using the Katalon c.exe, so that the command Katalon C command can run from anywhere. Okay, that's the only difference I made. Okay, so you understand this script is coming from your Katalon Studio. Okay, so now let me copy this entire YAML file. Okay, let us go to Azure Pipeline again. I'm just clicking on back. Okay, let us go to Azure Pipeline. So this is your Azure Pipeline, which is a default pipeline YAML file. I'm going to replace all this entire thing with my script. Okay, I'm going to replace this, paste it here. Now, if I save and run this particular pipeline, it is not going to run. Why? Because this agent is not yet created. I'm going to name this agent as 1, Katalon agent 1, because I've created the agent with the same name earlier. So that's why what I'm doing, I'm naming this as Katalon agent 1. Okay, now our aim is to create this agent. So before that, let's save this pipeline. I'm not saving and running, but I'm just saving it. Select this drop down and select save, and then save it. So now we already saved the pipeline. So before I run, let's go to presentation. So here we have created a pipeline and we saved the YAML file, and then update pool and agent name details. We have already updated. We changed the agent pool to default and we changed the agent name to Katalon agent 1, right? Update the script by copying from Katalon Studio using generate command from console mode. That means this one, generate command from console mode, correct? So that also we have done. And now, so this is your entire YAML file that we have copied and pasted there, right? And now after that, create agent in Azure DevOps from project settings using default pool. So let's go to Azure DevOps. We need to create the agent, right? For that, let's go to project settings and then go to agent pools and select agent pool default, because in YAML file we are provided as default, right? Now let's go to agents. So now let's create a new agent. So now to create the new agent, first you need to download agent zip under folder Katalon agent. What I'm going to do here, download this first. So now I can see here the agent is downloaded. So let's go back here now. So you can see here now, this is my zip file, right? So this is downloaded already. So I'm going to copy this folder and I'm going to place this zip file into a folder. Paste that zip file here. So once that is done, now what you need to do, create an agent by running command in PowerShell. Let's go back to Azure DevOps. So here we need to create an agent now. Okay, how can I create? I need to run this particular command in my PowerShell. Let's go to PowerShell. PowerShell, right? This is my PowerShell. First, what we need to do, we need to change the directory to the folder where we have stored the agent. Now change the directory to the folder where we have stored the downloaded agent zip file. CD and paste the path. So now I am changed the directory to the folder where agent sits, right? So once that is done, let's go to Azure DevOps. So here you need to enter this particular command. So copy this entire command, add type, okay? And then here paste it. Before paste, I would like to go back to the notepad here. So let's simply paste it here and see if I need to change anything. You can see here now, see the path of our agent zip file is not this one, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy that path, copy, copy the path here, paste here, right? And then what is the zip file name? Our zip file name is this one. Copy this and change the zip file name as well. .zip. So this is correct. So now copy this. Now let's go back to our PowerShell, enter this and hit enter. So what it is going to do? It is now actually creating the agent. To create the agent, this is the command, add hyphen type and everything you need to copy. So it takes several minutes to create the agent. So once that is done, let's go back here now. Now you need to configure the agent. To configure the agent, if you go back to the same folder here now, see here. Now this zip folder is unzipped. Now you need to run the config file first and then you need to run the agent. To run the config file, you need to simply run a small command .config.cmd. Enter and hit enter. Now it is going to ask you to enter the server URL. What is the server URL? Your server URL is this one, your organization, Azure DevOps organization URL. And then hit enter. Now enter authentication type. I would like to use the personal access token as authentication, right? Press enter. Now it is asking you to enter the personal access token. What is the personal access token that we already created earlier? So I'm going to use the same personal access token that we created earlier in Azure DevOps. Paste that personal access token and enter. So now it is connecting to server. And let us go back to Azure DevOps and let's stay in page agents page. Okay. So the agent is not yet created. Correct. So I don't see Katalon agent 1. So now it is asking me here, enter agent pool. I would like to keep the agent pool as default. That's why press enter for default. Now what is the agent name? I would like to give agent name as Katalon agent 1 and hit enter. So now it is the scanning for the tool capabilities and it's going to create the agent with Katalon agent 1. Enter work folder, press enter for work. Okay. And now I would like to provide enter run agent as service. Yes. And then this also you can enable as Y. Enter user account to use, press enter. Yeah, you can simply enter. So now here, either whether to prevent the service starting immediately after configuration, and then you can just enter Y. So now if you see here, I can see now a new agent called Katalon agent 1 is created. Once that is done, if you go back to our again the Katalon agent page, let's go here now. So once that is done, you need to run agent. Copy this one and run the agent now. So if you see here, the agent right now is offline. Why? Because we have not run the agent yet. We just created the agent. Let's go here now. /run.cmd. Now it is going to run the agent. So it is connecting to server, listening for the jobs. So let's go back to our Azure DevOps. Now you can see your agent is online. That means now you can run your test scripts by using this agent in this laptop. So now let us go back to the pipeline. So let's go back to the presentation. So here we have created an agent by running commands in PowerShell, and we configured the agent and we run the agent. Now we also made sure that agent is up and running in Azure DevOps agent pool. Now you can run the Azure pipeline using self-hosted agent. Let's go back here now. Under pipeline, we already created Katalon demo as a pipeline. Let's go here now. Now run the pipeline. Let's run the pipeline. I can just show you before I run this, right? This is the pipeline. You can see here now your agent pool is default. You remember? And then we created Katalon agent 1 as an agent, right? That means we already have agent now. So before I run this particular YAML file, one thing we are missing. We need to install Katalon runtime engine. So Katalon runtime engine is necessary to run your test scripts by using command line prompt. What do you mean by command line prompt? The script whatever we generated right from your Katalon Studio, this is your CMD command prompt, right? So to run CMD command prompt, you need to have the Katalon runtime agent. So to download your Katalon runtime agent, you can simply go to your Chrome browser and enter Katalon runtime engine. And here, this is your official website of Katalon for Katalon runtime engine, and hit download now. And what is the operating system? Which is Windows for me, and then hit download. Our download is completed. Go to your Katalon runtime engine zip file. So you can just simply cut this one, and then let us create a new folder called agents. I'm going to create a new folder, agents. And then I'm going to place this under agents folder. So if you go to your YAML file, so here if you see what I've provided the path as like this, but this is not my path, I think. So let me just make this as capital A. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to name this as capital A, right? And then now extract this zip folder into the same agents folder. It will take a couple of minutes to extract all the files. Now I have extracted the zip file. If you go to the folder, you can see here there is a katalonc.exe file. So we need to copy this path and put this path into this particular YAML file. I'm referring the katalonc.exe file so that it can execute katalonc commands. So this is the folder path, C Ravikant agents Katalon _studio _windows _64 10.1.0 Katalon c.exe. Now we can run the pipeline without any issues. Click on run pipeline. and you need to select the branch as master, as we pushed the code to the Azure Repos master branch, and select run. And now you can see a job has been scheduled. So this job starts by initializing the job and then checking out the Katalon repository code. And now it starts running the test cases. So you can see here it started running the test cases. So here it is checking the WebDriver, right? WebDriver manager. And now it's gonna open the Chrome browser in my local machine because we have installed the self-hosted agent in my local machine. So you can see now it actually asking me to allow Katalon C commands. So you can see here now it started executing my first data set. And then it will start executing my second data set. So your second data set also completed. That means now we are able to execute the Katalon scripts from Azure pipelines. So just a recap what we have done here. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. So what we have done, we have actually created the automation scripts by using Katalon, and those scripts we have pushed to the Azure repositories, and then we have created Azure pipeline by using the Azure repository code. And to run the pipeline, we have created a YAML file. Within the YAML file, we have specified the agent pool, which is default, and then we created a new agent. We have downloaded an agent, and then we configured the agent, and then we install the agent or run the agent. We ran the agent. Once the agent is up and running, now we have run the pipeline. Before you run the pipeline, you need to make sure that Katalon runtime engine is needed to run Katalon test scripts from Azure pipelines. So that is the overview. If you have any queries, leave your queries in the comment box. I'll try to respond to your queries. Thank you. Hope you all understand today's session. How can we integrate our Katalon Studio automation scripts with Azure pipelines? In this session, we have seen how can you push the automation scripts to Azure repos, and then how can we create Azure pipelines, and how can we run the automation test scripts from Azure pipelines by using self-hosted agent. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon, you'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Don't forget to like and share the video. Thank you.